Hey, Jamie Smith with CF Pro Tools. Just wanted to share with you installation instructions and a little demo and a little configuration for the CF Unslider script. And what this slider script does, the Unslider script, is actually makes a ClickFunnels plugin out of the Unslider jQuery plugin. So I'm just trying to configure it, make it easy for you to use and drop in. And what I've got up here is actually a page that actually uses this script, and it actually uses it a couple of times, and you'll notice the slight difference here. And so if you notice the banner up towards the top that's sliding, it says image 1, now image 2, now image 3. You'll notice it's sliding about every 3 seconds. It slides to a new image. These are just placeholder images. And down below that, you'll see in the testimonials block, it says right now in just 5 days. Now it says in just 4 days. This slides about every 5 seconds. And so these are two separate sections within a ClickFunnels page, and it's got the script that is actually sliding and working on those. And so it just shows you that, one, you could slide some images. If all you want to do is have a banner image that slides across and maybe rotates that banner image every 3 seconds or every 10 seconds or however long you want, you can do that. But you can also slide entire blocks of content. And so this is actually a section that is made up of a 2-column row, and that row has images and headlines and big headlines here, and it's sliding the whole thing. And so it's a pretty cool effect, and definitely is something that's useful. You'll also notice that as I've hovered over this block, it stopped sliding. So this gives somebody the ability, what you'll often see when somebody is looking at a piece of content, is they'll hover over it to read. They'll kind of move, I do this quite a bit, move along their mouse along with where they want to read at. And so what you kind of want is that interaction that, hey, somebody's consuming this content and they've stopped, they're reading here, so we want to stop the sliding. Same thing would happen here if we stopped on the images. We'll notice now that we've moved our hover off of the slider down below, so now it will pick up again after that 5-second time frame. But the one at the top where I'm hovered over the image will actually stop until I hover out of it, and then it will pick up and continue to go from there. So let's jump in and I'll show you how this is laid out. It's actually really easy. The one thing that's always my goal with CF Pro Tools is to make these scripts easy to install and use and configure inside of the ClickFunnels editor. I've seen a lot of sliders come out and they use the custom HTML JavaScript blocks inside of the editor page, so you get these orange blocks of content all over the page inside the editor, and you don't know what's in there. And that I do not like. I try and avoid it if I can. It works, it's functional, and if you know what you're doing, it's great to have that ability. But I like to make it super simple to use for somebody to edit and see that and change the content. So let's jump into the page and show you how this is laid out. First off, we just have a 1-column row with 7 images laid out in it. So this makes it super simple to just go in and change out the images. If that's all you want, is you just want to have these images to rotate, then all you have to do, and you want to add a new image or you want to change the image itself, you just go in and you hover over the one, you click add image, you add single image, and it's going to add another placeholder. That's all there is to it. And so that's how you would add a new image to this, and it will begin to slide that image. The same thing for this block down below. This is just a duplication of multiple, I basically duplicated each of these rows. So if we wanted to go in and duplicate another row in here, we could just basically make a copy of this. If we wanted to, change out the content now, we could do this and just go in there and see if ProTools.com and put in something like CF Pro Tools saved my life. Sounds awesome, right? It's a great testimonial. We can even go in and change out the image, and we'll just grab, let's see if we've got a headshot. There's a headshot in there of me. Let's do that. And there we go. So now we can save that page, and what we'll see is that when we put this script in place, that will actually come up. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to move that one up. So let's just move this one to the top. We'll actually move it just below. So when the second slide comes in, we'll see that one slide. And so it's really, really easy. And so that's all there is to the content. You're just creating your content like you normally would And then what we'll do is we'll drop a script in place that actually does the rotation, and we'll configure that just slightly so that we give it some options. So let's go and grab that script and set it up. So I've got the script open in my code editor so you can see it a little bit easier, and this is what you would grab from inside the members area. This is the default state of the script, and I'll run through the options. The first option is the container. This is going to be set to .call-enter, and most often you won't need to change that. Most often you're going to do just like I've done here, which is you're going to set this on a 1-column row, and you're going to want to rotate through these images, and that's real simple. And then the next one is set to this data dash, so it's calling data dash title equals CF Unslider. And so what I've done is I've set this so to make it super easy for you to use. All you have to do is actually go in and say, hey, I want this column of content with my row in it, I want it to rotate through there. So I'm just going to go into columns, and I'm going to pick my column here, and I just go in and change that column name to CF with an uppercase U Unslider. And then that's what this equates to. The data title is set to Unslider. So on that, call the Unslider function, and inside of there's a class, a container called call-enter, and that's going to go there. And then by default, the slides are going to be set to EL image wrapper. So that's each one of these images is actually going to be wrapped in an element called EL image wrapper. It has a class name of EL image wrapper. So all that means is that's what's going to happen. So if you use it like I've got set up here, you just want to kind of have a banner at the top. That's what you're going to do. You're going to go to your column, you're going to name it CF Unslider, and everything else is just going to work for you. That's all there is to it. The autoplay set to true by default. That means that it's going to start sliding as soon as the page loads. And the infinite means that it's going to, when it gets to the end of the slides, it's going to start back at the beginning. The arrows would mean the arrows at the sides of the page. I've got those turned off by default. You kind of need to configure the style sheet for those if you want to use them, but it certainly can be done. You would just want to set your own styles. Out of the box, I just think it's a little goofy, and it gives this interaction that somebody can click through. I just like to let it slide, so I've set that to false out of the box. The delay is how many seconds between, actually how many milliseconds between slides. So if right now it's set to 3,000, that is equal to 3 seconds. If you wanted to say slide every second, you would set that to 1,000. If you want it to slide every 5 seconds, you would set it to 5,000. So pretty easy math on that one. And then the animation is set to horizontal. That means things are going to slide horizontally. You can also set it to vertical, so things slide down instead of sliding across. I don't recommend that. It gives a kind of a goofy interaction with some of the HTML structure that we have inside of ClickFunnels. So stick with the horizontal rotation, and you'll do pretty good. If you are used to using and writing your own CSS, you can certainly try the vertical, and you might have good luck with it. I stick with the horizontal myself. The next one is the nav true, and what that means is at the bottom of this, you'll notice these buttons. So this gives us the ability, if we wanted to slide to image 3 or image 7, we've got this navigation that we can click on and use. You can certainly turn that off. So if you set this to false, then those dots will go away and it will just slide. It won't take up the extra space. It won't put these little dots down at the bottom. So that is what the nav means. So to get this installed, all we have to do is go in and grab this script right here. And I'm going to show you that this actually works. Right off the bat, I just saved the page. I had this installed. I pulled up a preview prior to saving my changes where I removed the script. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page now and show you that the script is not installed currently. And we just have a block of images here. And there's our new one. And we can see that, I didn't save since I moved my image. Let's do that. We'll save that real quick and then we'll refresh. So now we can see that we've got just a bunch of images, and we've got our testimonials, and we've got the one with me and as the second one. So let's go in and copy our script, and we're going to paste this into the tracking codes in the footer custom tracking. We're going to paste that in, And out of the box, because I've got set up just a 1-column row with a bunch of images, and I've got my column set with the element name of CF Unslider with an uppercase U, just like this. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and it's just going to work. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. It's just going to work. We'll see if it makes a fool of me. And there you go. So now we have this set up as a single slider, just the top. You'll notice it only works on the top because that's the element we have set as CF Unslider, and that's the element that kind of works out of the box. We're going to make it work for this testimonials just to show you that you can use this for other blocks of content. And so let's go back in and see that what we can do now is, okay, so I want to do kind of the same thing. I want to rotate through these rows, and I want to say that basically everything within this section I want to rotate through, because I want to rotate the entire row. In this case, what I want to rotate through is the actual images within this row. Well, in this case, I want to rotate the entire row. So I have to kind of jump up an element and say I want to rotate everything within here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to name this section. So I'm going to go in, and instead of, like before we named the column CF Unslider, what I'm going to do now is actually name the section so that I can reference it. So I'm going to name it, and it's already got a name of testimonial. So this is what I want to do. I'm going to go into my code here, and I'm just going to take, and I'm going to copy this. And actually, I just need to copy just this piece. If I were using multiple sliders, I would just copy just this piece, because I don't need to include this stuff up at the top again. I just want to include just this script that actually sets up the slider itself. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that again, and now I'm going to change my data title. I'm going to change that to testimonial. And my container is no longer called call inner. What I want to do is I actually want to show you how I inspect to find out what that container name is. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my inspect. And I'm going to find out, so you can kind of see that I'm highlighting over the elements that I'm hovering over inside of here. So you can see I've got my row here, and then there's a container for row, and that container is actually called container. It's got a class of container inner. So I want to make note of that. So I'm going to copy that container inner name, and I'm going to go back to my code, and instead of container being call inner, I'm going to set it to dot container inner. So the dot just says in selector language for jQuery, it just says something with the class name of container inner. And then the same thing for the slides. The slides I want to actually be my rows. So if I were to look at the rows here, I can see that, okay, so this is a full row, and so it's got a class of row. And so that's what I want to have rotate through. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to change this EL image wrapper. I'm just going to change that to dot row. And that says loop through everything within container inner that's within my data title equals testimonial, that it has a class of row. And so that is going to slide through everything. I'm going to go ahead and change this one to 1 second just so we can see it work a little bit faster. And I'm actually going to change this to false just so we can see that be a little bit different as well. And I'm going to go ahead and just copy that script. I'm going to paste it in just below my other one. So let's go ahead and go in here, back to tracking codes, to footer custom tracking, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. And so we can see I've got the original still there, and I've pasted in the one for testimonial. And let's save. And let's cross our fingers and hope that this works and doesn't make a fool of me. I'm going to go ahead and close my inspector window there. And let's go ahead and refresh and see what we get. Awesome. So now you can see it slides very quickly. It's sliding every second. It's also sliding every 3 seconds up above. So the settings are per slider that we have set. And we'll notice that we do not have any of the dots down below. We'll notice that we still have the if I hover over it, it stops. If I move out of it, it picks back up and goes again. If I hover, stops, and it goes back in. You'll notice that we get this little bit, I just noticed that the smaller image, you get a little bit a different effect there. So if we were to click on this last one, there we got that last one. So you can kind of see a little bit on the edges there. So that's just size difference. So this is how you can use the CF Unslider. You can do a lot of very cool things with it. So I hope you like it, and it's pretty easy to use. So you just grab the script down below. Out of the box, it's going to come with just this chunk here, and it's going to be set up with some default settings, but hopefully you've realized how you can kind of configure it to use it for different sections inside your content. And yeah, I'd love to see how you implement this, so please feel free to reach out to me. Talk to you very soon.